Welcome back to the seaside on this bank holiday weekend. We're at Bloomfield Road, Blackpool. Game 2 of day 1 of the 2018 Summer Bash. The clubs of the Betfred Championship are in action and Halifax take on Featherstone. Now, Featherstone Rovers without a win at the Summer Bash in 4 attempts. It's a very important game for them when you look at the table. That will come up shortly. Just confirmation of the result from game 1. It was a 38 points to 22 win for Sheffield Eagles over Barrow. Sheffield's first win in 4. Barrow's first defeat in 4 actually in that one. Okay, we've got Halifax Featherstone coming up, Toronto Lee. 3 games for you tomorrow. Toulouse, London, Rochdale, Swinton, and it all ends with Batley, Dewsbury. Right, to the tables from the Betfred Championship. Now the Featherstone Rovers currently sitting in 4th spot, Halifax in 6th, 3 points behind them. They will move to within 1 place of the all-important top 4 with a win here against the Featherstone Rovers team, who have stuttered of late. In fact, the Featherstone Rovers have lost their last 3 matches, including a Challenge Cup match that we brought you here on Sky Sports. One that descended into near forest, Barry, it must be said. There's question marks being asked about Featherstone now following a great start to the season. Is their season, well, it's certainly stagnating, but have they hit a wall of sorts?
I think that has the potential game to be the best game of the weekend. We've all been talking up Toronto against Lee because of the run that both sides are on, 10 and 11 wins. But we was accosted in the car park.
I was.
Accosted by a gang of Featherstone fans
who
were saying, you never talk
you
about our team, you never talk about how much strike, how much potential, how much quality we've got in this side. Well, I think this is a great side. It's always been well supported, and you know, not too long ago they were in the top tier. So this has all the hallmarks as the best game of the weekend.
It's a great side. Featherstone let themselves down in that Challenge Cup game, Terry. Really, I mean, went away from doing what they do so well.
Yeah, well, they've got some firecrackers, haven't they? They've got a couple of good halfbacks in Thackeray and Holmes. Gareth Hock is a player that really doesn't leave anything out there on the pitch, and you said they've lost the last 3 games. They conceded 116 points in those games. That's not good enough for the coach, John Duffy, and he knows that he's going to be tested here against the Halifax side that have got a lot of star players themselves.
And lost just 1 of their last 7, coached by Richard Marshall, doing a great job with Halifax. Commentary team now will be led by Bill Arthur. Straight off the beach, Bill, over to you.
And a lovely day for it as well. Bit breezy, and the wind just whipping around inside Bloomfield Road. Halifax 6 in the table. Have QLT at fullback, Quentin Lalu Tongagai, recent recruit for them. Will Sharp, Steve Tyra, their points machine. Ed Barber, James Saltonstall, the vastly experienced Scott Morrell alongside Ben Johnston in the halves. The forwards, Jacob Fairbank, Benny Kay, Adam Tangata. Big game for him as he returns after something like 8 months out, I beg your pardon. Shane Grady, Chester Butler, and another seasoned campaigner in Simon Grix. And on the bench, Elliot Morris, Brandon Moore, Will Mayer, and Dan Fleming. The coach on crutches, Richard Marshall, still hobbling around, doing his job. Featherstone Rovers, talking about people on crutches. Poor old Connor Farrell out of action with a broken leg. Martin Ridyard absent with a shoulder problem. Long-term injuries for those two. Ian Hardman is at fullback. Luke Briscoe, Josh Hardcastle, Harry Newman, the youngster from the Leeds Rhinos club, Sean Robinson, Anthony Thackeray, and Tom Holmes. The forwards, Scott Wheeldon, Keel Carlisle, Brad Knowles, James Lockwood, John Davis, and Richard Moore named at loose forward. And on the bench, Matty Wildy, Gareth Hock, Sam Brooks, and Mitch Clark, who passed a late fitness test for the coach, John Duffy. Tom Grant is the referee in charge of this one, and it is a massive game for these two sides. Game 2 at the Summer Bash. Featherstone Rovers 4th in the table. They've lost the last 3 in all competitions. Halifax frustrated after scrambling to a 22-all draw last time out against Dewsbury, but in pretty good shape. Halifax needing the win if they are to make it into the top 4 come the break-off point. Featherstone needing the win to keep the pressure on the teams above them. A lot for these two to play for.
That's exactly right, Bill. It not only is a 4-point game, being on television, being at this point in the season, it feels like an 8-point game. The significance of a victory for either of these two sides could be at this match here today. I think we're going to see one of the best games of the entire Bash competition.
It's Halifax who are in possession in this black and pink kit, and Grix on to Scott Morrell. You might spot on the back of this black and pink Halifax kit a breast cancer cares. A 40-20 kick comes in from Morrell, making use of the wind at his back. Great start for Fax. There you go.
Well, Scott Morrell's aware of the pitch here, shorter than normal, taking full advantage, wind behind him, hit it hard, hit it early, and they've got the chance for the first initiative.
The litter spinning around the pitch show as Grix then puts the ball to ground, and that great opportunity squandered.
What a shame for Halifax. Scott Morrell, very wily character, very experienced, good kicking game, good running game, and unfortunately his side, as Featherstone in possession now, looking to make their way upfield. You could already sense the first set of 6. You could sense the intensity from both sides, whether they're running or hitting harder. Well, it's Featherstone countering after that. Oh, that 40-20, and the ball goes to ground. Well, and it's a really lively start to this one.
Well, that doesn't surprise me. You know, Featherstone have been playing in some high-scoring games. If you look at the last 5 matches, they've had an average of over 50 points scored in them. I think we're going to see lots of tries, hopefully several goals here, and some wonderful action as Halifax now battle their way up just on the halfway line.
Well, we've had a 40-20 kick, we've had from Halifax, we've had a break up the middle of the field from Featherstone, and we've only had a couple of minutes on the clock. It could be some game, this. Some interesting characters involved. Some seasoned campaigners. Here's Shane Grady, he's one of the seasoned campaigners, gets that pass away, referee says play on, Ben Johnston it is. The Irish international. So Halifax, 30 metres or so out, here is Morrell.
Nice footwork again there from Tangata.
Adam Tangata starting this one, a big game for him. He's been out of action for about 8 months. Morrell's got himself into position to hoist the kick. Sharp will challenge for it, can't get it down. Oh, so close. Ed Barber it was who was scrambling for it at the end. It was Will Sharp who very nearly got on the end of it.
And it's another outstanding kick from Scott Morrell. He catches it, he virtually catches it, stands still on the spot and places it in the position he wants to. And if they continue to challenge for those high kicks, they'll get one before long.
So the boot of Scott Morrell already causing problems for Featherstone Rovers. It is difficult.
High tackle, Harry Newman, the young Leeds Rhinos player, he goes into contact. Looks like Jacob Fairbank can't deal with the young player. Not too much footwork, not too much of a skip, just a bit of a lazy arm from Fairbank.
So the first penalty of the game goes in favour of Featherstone. Lockwood, and best opportunity early on. This game, that's gone to ground.
Well, he never looked comfortable making the pass, did he? He sort of...
John Davis. Oh, sorry, I beg your pardon.
Richard Moore never looked, did he? He sort of set off and then twisted and turned his body, and the ball passes behind him. And
Scott Wheeldon it was who couldn't take the ball, so that's...
Nothing looked comfortable for any of either player there, passer or catcher.
Well, Richard Moore, anybody that's tuned into Super League or Championship Rugby League for the last 15 years or so will know Richard Moore is a compulsive offloader. He's good out the back door, he's got all the skills, really exciting player to watch, and he's got a bit of fire in his belly as well.
37 years of age now, Richard Moore, once upon a time a Halifax player.
and a few others.
Yeah, well travelled, I think you would say. So it's Halifax in possession now, and Sharp trying to carve a way through, brought down by Lockwood.
Nice
Good
play.
hands, good hands.
There's the player I've come to see, QLT. Good balance, good speed. Added some real strike to Halifax since he joined.
Yeah, he's made an impact, and Johnston has almost made an impact there as he looked to exploit a gap. Hardcastle with the tackle. Kay. Here's Griggs now. Griggs ships it on. They go across the pitch to Butler. Here's Ed Barber. Barber driving for the corner. Featherstone trying to drive him into touch. Ball comes back in field. That's good defence. Good defence from Featherstone. And Will Sharp couldn't retrieve the situation. Morrell.
Well, the Featherstone side are aware just how good Scott Morrell can be given time to kick on that last play. He closed down his time, shut down any option, and he's thrown the ball in desperation towards Will Sharp, but over the sideline. A relief, because in this early stages you'd have to say Halifax have made the better of the first 6 minutes.
Wielden wrestling, maybe looking to the referee for some intervention there. Here is Knowles playing the ball. Moore now. Bradford Bulls was where Richard Moore emerged back in 2001. Thackeray. Didn't like the challenge there, Anthony Thackeray. Last time we saw him, he was playing full back, and that was in the cup tie against Hull FC.
Yeah, he was under a bit of pressure then, a bit of head rubbing. They're letting him know he's not going to have an easy afternoon. That
kick has been hoisted, and then the wind's caught it, and it's come down behind the Featherstone line there.
It's ended up closer to the Featherstone try line when it came back down to earth, and Saltonstone through a gap.
Almost scrambling defence. His opposite number, Luke Briscoe, making the tackle. Quick hands, and
nice
Griggs
hands.
burst through, looking for some support. Griggs is still going. There was nobody on his shoulder as he made progress. They've got potential here. Johnston puts the brakes on, comes back the other way. The pass sits up. So, Halifax, Griggs, Johnston, Quentin Laulu Tongagai, QLT. It's got even shorter. It's Q now to his new teammates. Little kick comes in. Lovely try, and it's Morrell who grabs it. The man who's normally putting the kicks in was on the end of that one. It sat up nicely, and Scott Morrell, in his 18th season in the professional game, gets his first try in the championship, his first try of the season, full stop.
Well, he's used every one of those 18 years to make sure, as we see Griggs make the break that gave them the field position. They've looked strong, and they've certainly converted that early dominance into some points on the scoreboard. Morrell's used his 18 years of experience to be in the right place at the right time. He's learned where opportunities will present themselves. The ball bounces up favourably for him, and he has the skill to make sure that Halifax are the first to score here today.
Well, we're right to credit Scott Morrell, but what about the kick from Ben Kay? Pinpoint accurate kick right towards the sticks. He obviously is aware and knows and trusts that Scott Morrell will get there at the right time, but good skills from the hooker Ben Kay.
Trying to start for Scott Morrell. He came up with a 40-20 kick after just a couple of minutes. Now he's come up with a try in front of those Halifax supporters. You can see, I'll just go back to that point, on the back of these shirts they're wearing that breast cancer care logo. The club have agreed to donate a percentage of the sales and help raise awareness of that particular campaign, hence the logo. And Stephen Tyra in the points once again in his 6th season for Halifax, lands his 45th goal of this campaign. Halifax lead by 6 points to 0.
Well, what an energetic start from both sides. It's been frenetic, the pace. That man's had more of an influence than everyone else on the field. On that occasion it was chasing the kick. His kicking game we'll see that recurring theme. He takes charge, takes control of all the last players for his side.
So Halifax, who lost to Featherstone right at the start of the season, looking for some revenge here and looking for a win that would keep them in the hunt for top 4 place. 6th in the table at the moment, Halifax going into this game. Featherstone 4th. Could be such a crucial weekend this, because a win for Halifax and it keeps them in the hunt for the top 4, puts Featherstone under pressure. A win for Featherstone puts them, I think, up to 2nd in the table, albeit might be briefly.
Absolutely, there's such a lot at stake, and it's important these two sides don't get wrapped up in all the hype and all the excitement of playing at Blackpool. Everybody loves the Summer Bash. The Championship sides absolutely embrace it. So do the fans, but it is about those crucial points.
Johnston, little grubber kick, and at least it turns Featherstone around.
Well, by their standards, after 10 minutes, that's probably not a great result, is it? It's rolled over the sideline. They're probably disappointed that they push it closer to the corner.
Well, I heard you and Wells in the previous game talking about a rhythm. A game gets into a natural rhythm when teams are going set for set and trying to build pressure, trying to work on those completions. We've got 10 minutes. There's been no rhythm to this game. It's just been absolute out-and-out ferocity.
Now it's Halifax looking to compress Featherstone to stop their progress. Here's Luke Briscoe having a fantastic try-scoring season, 28 to his name. He went on that record-equaling run of tries in 17 consecutive games. That had to end, unfortunately. The end ended when he was level with Eric Harris. Didn't get to break the record.
Well, there's a place to be, though, isn't there?
A record-equaling performance, and there'll be more tries to come for sure from Luke Briscoe this season. There could be points to come from Featherstone as they get to the 5th tackle. Little kick dinked in by Thackeray to the corner, but well claimed by Will Sharp, and Sharp will counter now.
Well, he's been put under pressure, but he's taken in 2 or 3 excellent plays so far, Will Sharp. It appears as though Featherstone are going to target him as the weaker of the 2 wing options. They've kicked the ball that way whenever they have had chance to do.
Featherstone are penalised.
Scott Morrell offside.
Richard Moore is the man having the finger pointed at him by the referee. So Steve Tyra, very popular character in this Halifax side, always there with the points, especially with the boot.
He's another point of attack or change of point of attack. Simon Griggs, watch how many times he gets his hands on the ball and the things that happen from it.
Here he is now, gets the pass from Morrell, but is tackled by Brad Knowles. Kay shoves Knowles off the ball. Here they come again. Tangata is tackled by Thackeray and Lockwood. Morrell, little dummy from him. Featherstone under pressure once more.
Is that
Barber.
Chester Butler?
It's Butler, yeah. Chester Butler. Tackled just short and held up is Ben Kay.
Good defence.
That'll be the turnover.
Good defence, Ben Kay, that's his trademark. Get down low and score those tries. So Chester Butler take the ball close to the line, and Featherstone, as we say, 13 minutes, it's absolutely flown by.
Well, they look like they're at the bottom of the hill here, Featherstone, don't they? Nobody's sure who wants to do the heavy lifting, because they've got 99 metres to go. They've got a wall of black jerseys coming at him.
And they've got Keele Carlisle down and in need of attention. And just to remind you that it's such a busy day. Catalan against the Leeds Rhinos is now on the red button on Sky Sports Arena for that one. Big game here, though, with Halifax against Featherstone from the Championship. 2 old rivals, they've had their moments, shall we say. Keele Carlisle is back after his moment.
And Featherstone have some work to do to get from virtually on their own try line. And Richard Moore will play the ball. There's Carlisle. First tilt by Scott Wheeldon. Josh Hardcastle. Hardcastle is tackled. Featherstone. Lockwood. He goes down. 4 tackles gone. Bit of pace though. Hardman.
Good effort from Featherstone.
It is Ian Hardman who plays that ball, and then Thackeray stabs a kick in.
Good effort from Featherstone, the willingness to play the ball quick. Sean Robinson on the first occasion, and on the last one, Anthony Thackeray thinks, we'll just slow the pace of this game down. They've only been into their opponent's half, or even quarter, a handful of times. You can just see the pace of the game. Just the ball, they're getting some attention.
Just mentioned it at the top when we were going through the teams. Significant absentees for Featherstone though, with Connor Farrell, who's been outstanding this season. Broken his leg, gone for the season.
He's had some torrid luck, Connor Farrell, in his career.
Martin Ridyard, who's always contributing points, has picked up a shoulder injury, which he'll have a scan on next week, and that could be long term.
That could have been a battle of the 2 old heads, Scott Morrell.
Well, I'm interested in a young head for Featherstone, the number 19, Tom Holmes, an exciting player. We've seen him in Super League for Casford last season. We'll see what he can do on this stage here. We haven't had much involvement so far. He's not been a half-back's name who you've mentioned, but he's got the potential to change this game if his team give him the chance.
Saltonstall is driven back towards his line, but he plays that ball. QLT, who came to Halifax from the Toronto club and has made an impact already.
Oh, here's the chance. They've had control. That's the first real error, handling error here now, and Featherstone look to counter.
And they're on the halfway line already.
Tangata was looking at where he was going to run before he had the ball. Possession to Featherstone now. Will they have a look at the line of Halifax?
Well, they're 40 metres or so away from that Halifax line as Briscoe drives it forward. Having a great season is Luke Briscoe. Scott Wheeldon now, 32 years of age. Scott Wheeldon, another one of the really experienced players out there. Oh, a lovely set from Holmes, but they just managed to get hold of his shirt. And ooh, from the Featherstone supporters, but they're on the attack here now. And the ball is still in the hands of Briscoe. He's lucky to get there. The referee's wiped the tackle count clean and awarded a penalty. Johnston trying to delay things.
Well, it's wild and it's loose from Featherstone. Ball flung onto the floor. Briscoe good enough to get hold of it. He wanted to get on with it, and Halifax were trying to stop him.
Here's John Davis now. Great opportunity. Featherstone attacking the end of the Bloomfield Road ground that's populated by their supporters. Mitch Clark plays that ball, and then they'll go out left. Thackeray keeps it going to Hardman. Hardman puts the brakes on and is then brought down. Kay it was with the tackle. Across the field, Thackeray. Oof, big hit, superb hit.
Steve Tyra shut that play down. There's Tom Holmes.
He's made his marker, Steve Tyra, because Holmes is hobbling after that tackle. Here is Clark.
Had to pick a dead leg up there, Holmes.
He's still down on the ground and in discomfort.
There he is in the middle of your picture. When that kind of tackle takes place, technique goes out the window. You're just getting up and going at your opponent as quick as you can. He flings his body in front, Steve Tyra.
Is it just bone on bone here, or is there some ligament damage? We're hoping it's just an
impact,
bang, really, isn't it? Yeah, and it's just some of the muscle, the bruising around the muscle. We're checking out. they need him on the field, don't they? He had a spark, you saw just 2 or 3 minutes ago. He has got the ability to change direction and accelerate at the same time, and that makes him a threat. Featherstone in attack.
Former Castleford halfback Tom Holmes is back on his feet. There is Richard Marshall. He'll know how Tom Holmes feels if he's had a bang on his knee, because Richard Marshall is on crutches. Went all through his playing career without picking up a knee injury. He was playing touch rugby in the garden, and he's ended up in hospital with a knee injury. He's on crutches today, and he's watching his side defend here. Lockwood reversing towards that Halifax line.
It's going to take more than that from Featherstone to score a try. You know, they've got the second best defensive record in this league with the Halifax side. Richard Marshall will be very proud of that. I think you're going to have to throw a little bit more at them.
That's what happens, isn't it, Phil, when one of your pivots is otherwise engaged as it is. Tom Holmes trying to recover from that injury. It looks like Featherstone. There's a penalty coming.
Referee Tom Grant very quick to whistle there. He's given the penalty for a high shot.
Nice shot. Ben Kay comes out. Yeah, there it is. Brad Knowles.
Didn't miss, did he?
Just clips him just below the nostrils.
That's the mouth. That relieves the pressure. Infuriating for Featherstone. Just putting a bit of a squeeze on Halifax the last few minutes.
They haven't had an opportunity to build pressure, get some repeat sets, spend some time down there. Halifax have defended what Featherstone have thrown at them, and now can they counter-attack?
Okay, Johnston's quick pass finds Shane Grady. Off goes Johnston, and Johnston darting through. He's been lively.
He has one of the most convincing dummies, I think, of any player we'll see in this country. It does make you feel, though the ball's already gone. Morel looks well that way, but he's held in possession. Midfield.
Morel tackled by Keelan Carlisle. And Johnston puts a little grubber kick in. Oh, they're chasing this one. And in the end, Featherstone with Holmes have to concede the goal line drop, or do they?
Well, he's not right. Before we look at the try, he's not right, Tom Holmes. He's doing his best to stay on for his side. There's all kinds of confusion in the in-goal. Referee Tom Grant sent it upstairs.
It seems to be off. Legs flying around at the moment. Tom Holmes gets possession at that point.
Shane Grady didn't get anywhere near it.
When I first watched that, I thought Shane Grady touches it, there you go, so he knocks it forward.
Well, a knock on from Shane Grady, so you're saying a tap on the 20 will be the restart?
Yeah.
Can't see it from that angle, can you?
The other angle is a better angle, there you go.
You think the ball changes direction because of his hand?
Yeah.
Phil Bentham is the video ref for this game. He's had a good look at that. Shane Brady's touch means it'll be, in all probability, restart with the tap on the 20. It is.
There you go, players ready. Trust the players, Bill, they normally get it right.
Please, this will be 0.
They're all ready.
Scott, is a mark. Wait, Scott, mark. On the mark.
I'm just watching Tom Holmes limping, doing his best. Matty Wildey's on the bench for Featherstone, plays at 9.
Oh, you're right, Holmes is definitely hobbling.
He plays at 9 traditionally. Might have to come a bit further out, started his career as a 7.
Holmes may be trying to run this off. He might ease somewhat. But at the moment, he's a bit incapacitated. Lockwood tackled on the halfway line. Halifax leading by 6 points to 0. The Scott Morel try, the Scott Morel conversion, that's forward
pass. Again, a failure to make the most of possession. That's a pretty fundamental basic error from Featherstone. And going back to Tom Holmes, with that injury. It is an impact injury. If it is a bang, probably the worst thing for him is to go and sit down.
Well, this is interesting. What's just happened here? Is that descent?
I think it was.
That's
Somebody
a bad
said
sign
something.
for Featherstone here to be losing the control mentally. Okay, you've thrown a forward pass, but to question a referee's decision and then to concede another 20 metres here. It's a worrying sign for John Duffy's men.
Well, that's maybe a worrying sign for Halifax. Gareth Hock's on the field.
Move! Hold! Go on.
Will be attempting to reverse the trend of this game, which is very much with Halifax at the moment, and it could be more points for Halifax because Tyra goes in the corner, and they pay the price for whatever was said. And Stephen Tyra gets his 11th try of the season, and Featherstone, something they said was penalised, and Halifax have taken full advantage of that.
Well, this is a beautiful sweeping play. It's important for Featherstone amongst this carnival atmosphere that they keep the discipline, they keep the composure. QLT does such a good job. It's very subtle what he does. It's a skip. He commits 2 defenders. Harry Newman goes in. That creates the space for Tyra to go into. Tyra will attempt to convert his own try, but discipline is paramount on a big stage like this.
Richard Marshall, satisfying starts for his sides, with Steve Tyra extending their lead, and Halifax looking to improve on last week because they were very disappointed to have to settle for a point with the game against Dewsbury. Fair play for Dewsbury, who held them to that draw. Paul Sykes securing it with a penalty goal late on.
Well, with this goal, will he aim it towards the right post? There's a strong breeze blowing from right to left.
Well, Tyra is a great practitioner at goal kicking, and he doesn't miss with that second success with the boot for Steve Tyra, and Halifax lead by 12 points to 0.
Well, everything with the timing seems right, from the passing to the kicking to the lines of the run here now. And watch you as a central winger, if you're stood in the wrong position momentarily, well, you give him very little time to correct yourselves. He got himself outside of his opponent into that space, and there was no way he'd be stopped.
I mentioned Simon Griggs a few moments ago. He plays a part in that, plays a very similar role to John Wilkin. The role that he plays at St Helens, takes those tough carries at the teeth of the defence, finds a pass out the back and manages to create some space for his teammates.
Blackpool not a happy hunting ground for Featherstone. They've yet to win at the Summer Bash. They also lost in the Northern Rail final here in 2012 to Halifax. So they could do with a change of fortune on this ground, this very sweet pitch in terms of the lushness of it, fast, firm.
It's the best defence they've had though since we kicked off this game just over 20 minutes ago. They've really done well for 5 players there, thrown everything at the Halifax side. Long kick down, Ian Hammond takes it on the full, and perhaps a little win there, mini win in that set for the Featherstone side.
Hardman plays the ball. His 10th season with Featherstone, Ian Hardman, and they get the penalty then.
A little bit of indiscipline from Halifax. Scott Morrell involved. Little tug on the boot of Sean Robinson. A good carry from the fullback. That's the reward for their great defence, Featherstone. Hardman catches it on the full. The next carry, too sloppy, and Tom Grant blows his whistle.
The Featherstone fans subdued at the moment, looking for more from their side as Lockwood takes the first drive. Here is Wielden now. He loses the ball. It was stolen, says the referee. Back-to-back penalties. Normally ends.
He drops that.
Well, the referee said it was stolen.
He runs hard. And Scott Griggs.
Don't see any hand in there, do you?
No, Scott Griggs hits him around the midsection. The ball comes loose. bit of fortune for Featherstone. They need a little bit of luck now.
Keel.
Great position for them then.
Wait for me, please. Wait for me, Keel. Wait.
About 15 metres out.
Time's still off. Keel, wait for me. Okay.
15 metres out. They'll try again. Here's Lockwood now.
Surrender! Stop, go wide!
So can they find a way through this Halifax defence now? Not with a pass like that, but it's picked up by Hardman.
Move! Kick up!
They lost a bit of momentum there. Edging towards that Halifax line. Wheeldon
demanding the ball. He's not gone that way. He's been a foil for Keele Carlisle.
Good defence on their own try line so far. The ball, this time they're going to give it a bit of width to Lockwood. Lockwood bounces off and then back to Thackeray. Thackeray comes across the field, still going Thackeray. Davis gets the pass away. More good defence.
Awkward.
Hardcastle it was who was tackled. We felt that. So Thackeray will launch a kick in, but it's knocked down.
6 more.
Barber couldn't deal with it.
Penalty.
And then the penalty's conceded.
Offside. Ian Hardman.
There's a big call offside. Possible explanation that's just come through then. The touch judge at the side will be the one to say if a player's in front of the kicker, and I think it is it Ian Hardman perhaps, I think it was the number 1, he was actually in front and then within 10 metres of where the ball was coming down.
The most promising phase of possession for Featherstone ends disappointingly, and the flat cappers unhappy at that decision.
But it's their own discipline, both sides of the ball, not getting to the right parts of the field, giving penalties away, not making the most.
So Griggs plays the ball. Johnston finds Grady. Grady, long-legged runner, has some support. Across comes the cover, and Brandon Moore is cut down. And the referees penalise Featherstone again. Not sure what that one's for. It's a high tackle. Brandon Moore, I think it was, who was on the receiving end.
Let's give some praise here to Featherstone. Anthony Thackeray's come across. Maybe that was the high tackle he's hit him above where the referee felt comfortable. Well, a harsh call.
Harsh call.
But I think it looks as though Halifax may elect to kick at goal here.
Yeah, you don't blame him for that. You don't blame him for that, Phil.
And I think Featherstone will be relieved.
Yeah, Featherstone have had a good look and haven't been great at the other end of the field. Halifax, through that experience, through those players who take control, say, let's just have a minute now. Knock off the 2 points, get set for the kick. But good effort from Anthony Thackeray to get back and save that try.
Tyra will look to make it 3 from 3. Half-time, or half hour rather, approaching, and Tyra nudges Halifax further ahead, 14-0. They lead now.
It's just a question here now of maintaining concentration. Look, it's a lovely pass to Shane Grady. Steps back on the inside of his opponent. The break's made, but it isn't converted into a try, and that keeps Featherstone in this contest. I think the Rovers' defence, other than the break made, has been impressive. They've made life hard for Halifax to get out from their own end here, and they'll do it again now. But the discipline, Barry mentioned the penalties they've conceded, it's just made life a little easier for the Halifax team.
Really do need to get back into the winners' enclosure. Featherstone, having lost their last 3 games, lost a bit of momentum. A win here, and the picture at the top of the championship table would look different for them. Might only be briefly, but if they don't win, then they will feel the hot breath of Halifax and Lee.
Don't forget, Halifax, when we looked at that league table, also have a game in hand. You add 2 more points onto them, they're looking like they're in a healthy state themselves.
That's a
messy play the ball.
Oh, and he's given another penalty.
Well, that came from the kick-off. It was a committed carry from Will Mayer, and at the end of it, right at the back end of it, when Josh Hardcastle and Featherstone need to be squeaky clean. The further on in the set of 6 you get, when you make those bad decisions, your technique's poor, it costs your team dearly.
Here is Simon Griggs. 11 seasons he was a Warrington player. Still going strong here, the Irish international. Will Mayer on a season-long loan from the Castleford Tigers. Mayer, quite a prospect, the Cumbrian. He drives that ball in, and now they give it a little bit of width. Here is Ed Barber, but Barber being headed towards that sideline. There's a player down in the middle of the field.
Scott Morell, I think, is it a late challenge? We often see these, don't we? Pass has been made, he's been hit after that.
It's a long ball from dummy half, pressure from the inside, and Gareth Hock, he gets there as quick as he can, but it's a little bit too late.
It's just a penalty.
Yeah.
Is it another 2 points?
I don't think they need the 2, I don't think they need the rest. I think the wise decision might be keep hold of the ball and make Featherstone work defensively.
I don't think Featherstone can defend without conceding a penalty, so maybe kick the points, receive the possession, and you'll probably get back up to that end again.
Maybe. What are Halifax going to do? John Davis, yeah, he's a talisman for this Featherstone club. Excellent defender. He's another one. Maybe that's a dead leg. A lot of impact injuries. Plays running hard. There was such force from Will Mayer a moment or two ago, fresh on the pitch. He gobbles up his 20-25 metres, and at the point of contact, everybody just spews out of that collision.
Davis in a lot of discomfort. Ooh, ow. John Davis is going to get back to his feet, but
he's going to try and run it off.
Go line, please.
On his own try line, John Davis. They're not going to go for goal from that penalty conceded. They're in discipline. Cost them dearly earlier on. Here is Dan Fleming. Fleming is tackled about 5 metres out, bang in front of those posts. Johnston gets the pass away to Grady. QLT. Here's Fleming once more, the Welsh international. Featherstone managing to keep Halifax at bay just now. Hock and Fleming having a little spat off the ball. Meanwhile, play continues and the ball is flung into touch with Sharp waiting for it. I think it was Barber tried to get the pass away to him, but couldn't find the target.
Well, that's brilliant defence from Featherstone. It's what they needed to stay in this contest. Another try, and I just don't know whether they'd have been able to come back. The heads were dropping as the moment went on, but they've worked hard here to prevent another score from the Halifax side. And with just over half an hour ago, 14 points behind it is obviously a big lead for the Halifax fans, but it's certainly not insurmountable. We saw what Warrington did against Hull in last night's Super League action. 12-0 behind at half-time, went on to win by 30 points to 12, so we do see swings in the scores in this sport. When you get possession, you score, you get the ball back and you often score again. So
Featherstone beat Halifax 20 points to 4 when the sides met at Post Office Road back in the cold, dark days of February the 4th it was. Beautiful sunny afternoon, late afternoon in Blackpool. Sun streaming across the pitch. Featherstone rolling forward, appealing for a penalty. Not a lot has gone their way in that respect in this game. Mitch Clark, bit of a fitness doubt he was going into this game as that kick is hoisted way too strong. Matty Wildy into the terracing behind those Halifax posts. Toronto against Lee is the final game. Should be some contest, 7:15. Day one of Summer Bash, concluding with that one on Sky Sports Arena.
Poor kick from Matty Wildy, right at the back end. Leathers it. It's not what Featherstone needed. See Gareth Hock there. Defensively, he's had a couple of involvements. As the ball comes out the back.
So now that it's a ball steal. Featherstone penalised once more.
going to mention Gareth Hock. He's been running around this field trying to get hold of the ball. I don't even know whether that's his hand. It just helps that ball on its way. Gareth Hock, such a devastating, destructive runner. You can use him, give him the ball early and watch him do his stuff with the ball, or you can use him as a foil.
Well, this now means Halifax have had 6 sets of possession more than the Featherstone Rovers. I mean, obviously that weight of possession is evident on the scoreboard, and they want to make it count even more. They turned 14 into 18.
7th penalty conceded by Featherstone Rovers in this first half as Fleming plays the ball with Grix, who's been in the thick of it. Now with Tyra, one of the try scorers in the first half, but that is great defence from Featherstone. That's more like it from Featherstone Rovers.
They handled that play, Featherstone Rovers. It was a wonderful offload from Grix. Committed defence from Featherstone. Briscoe, Hardcastle, all involved. Hardman, all involved. 33 minutes on the clock. Halifax looked comfortable. Featherstone looked erratic.
Hold that line. Head in!
Well, they don't look out of it, do they?
No,
Featherstone
no.
are not out of it.
No.
They're surviving, and just about with the number of penalties they concede here. They need to boost themselves, they need a spark, a break from a player to get themselves back interested in believing that they can win this match.
And Hardcastle looks at the referee because there was a little tug on him as he got to his feet to play that ball and said, well, why not us? So feeling a bit hard done by, maybe, Featherstone Rovers. Here is Davis. I beg your pardon, Moore it is.
And there is the penalty you mentioned, Bill. The Featherstone fans, Thackeray wants to take it quickly. Long kick to touch. They'll try and see something from, you know, the start of the season as a tremendous player. Great attack inside, and Hock charges it forward.
Gareth Hocker built up a fair old head of steam there, and Halifax were slightly slow off the mark, and this is a great opportunity again for Featherstone Rovers as Lockwood is put on his back. Thackeray across the field, Holmes onto Hardman, and Hardman wrestling. Johnston there to make the tackle. Grady is in there as well, and Hardman struggles to get to his feet. They've managed to delay things there. Holmes.
Tackle from Fleming. He read that play. Mitch Clark had nowhere to go.
Clark plays the ball bang in front of those posts, but this is a great opportunity, and Thackeray couldn't take the pass.
It was too far in front of him. He could feel the defenders in his face, but Thackeray, almost on his heels, was reaching out to catch that ball.
Just 5 minutes to go before the break. Quick chance for some half-time, for some news rather, from Angela.
Not quite half-time, no. We saw John Davis a bit earlier, didn't we, down and having troubles with what looked like his knee, but it turns out to be a dead leg, a severe dead leg. He's got it iced up now on the bench, and it's looking unlikely at this stage he'll go back on with the level of pain that he's feeling at the moment.
McDermott, MD, strikes again.
There you go.
Could you stitch that at half-time, Barry?
I can do whatever you want, Phil.
I'm not sure I'd want you to stitch. No. Have every faith in your medical ability.
Get it in the scrum.
I believe, I might be wrong, it was off Will Mayer. There you go, it's off that carry from the kick-off. So he gets purely accidental, but when a collision like that takes place, you need to get it right or you end up second best.
Is that John Davis again?
That was the time he got his injury.
But he also got...
Featherstone, you've got to credit the defence has been pretty good. They just conceded too many penalties. 4 men in, making life hard for Halifax to get out to their own half. Stop the clock again, referee.
There's a play in down on his knees in the back play. It's Hardman, yeah.
There's the red sweat.
We go again, mate. It's on the cross.
Well, it's not in a dangerous place. I'm sure they'll just tape that up.
You used to have to, going back in the day, leave the field if you were bleeding, didn't you? That was a rule.
What about the shirt?
20 years ago, yeah. It seems to have gone out of fashion.
Shirt.
You go for head injury assessments, but blood doesn't seem to be as dangerous.
Ian Hardman hasn't got time to bleed. Richard Marshall needs to give himself a bit of time to get to the dressing rooms. he's probably set off a while ago.
Well, his office manager, Sarah Morgan, did offer to provide him with a blinked up wheelchair for the weekend, but declined that offer. Would have been quite cool, that.
Yeah.
Well, the weather's
no
not
good
good
for the Eagle.
He should get his team just to come and sit in these seats around where he was watching the game from there at half-time. They don't need to necessarily go inside for any other reason. The toilet's just down the end in the corner.
Very experienced coach now, Richard Marshall. And Ian Hardman, that doesn't look particularly convincing. And the referee really should be saying, well, look, if it's going to take this long, you can go and do that somewhere else. Because
yeah, 2 words, hurry up.
Ian Hardman, who also works for the Leeds Rhinos in a community role. Often see him at Emerald Headingley running around at half-time with the youngsters.
Yeah, works for the foundation at Leeds Rhinos.
Not a job for the faint-hearted, that, is it?
No, very surprising that.
And eventually, Ian Hardman's leaving the field. We've had 3 minutes of that at the back of the field.
Well, in defence of the referee, I think at first he thought it was a head injury. It's taken a lot longer than he wanted. Once he'd stopped it, he couldn't say, well, let's play on again now. He's now told him to change his shirt.
And we're still waiting. Surely
to go. Let's
we should be
going to play on
with
there.
the game.
Realised the referee, he's lost patience.
So Ian Hardman returns.
4. Move! There's a mark! Hold!
And he's patched up. Tyra, meanwhile, in possession for Halifax, who lead by 14 points to 0. The ball's gone backwards, it's gone forwards. Featherstone will pick it up. They'll get head and feet surely at the scrum.
Well, is that the first bit of panic from Halifax? Hasn't done a lot, Steve Tyra, but what he's done well. He turns round, he offloads that ball and there's a fumble. He doesn't need to offload that ball. He's looking at QLT. The ball ends up near Will Mayer.
Head in, Q! Head in!
Bit of possession.
Is Gareth Hockey held back and then just goes out of the picture actually there for a while? But
head and feet to Featherstone Rovers, so an opportunity for them. And Halifax with some defending to do, and they do it superbly.
Well, that's the story of the first half for me. Look at the passion, look at the energy from Halifax. They'd made a mistake. Talked about the poor decision from Steve Tyra to offload that ball, put pressure on his teammates. And what do? That's the sign of a good side. You will make mistakes. You're not making mistakes, you're not trying things. And Harry Newman pushed over the sideline, and Halifax cover up that mistake.
Well, I think you feel bad when you are dragged over the sideline. I think you feel worse for any of the Featherstone players when you watch the opposition celebrate. It makes you even more depressed that you've lost possession, and the other guys are absolutely buzzing. They're full of a spirit that's going to make them virtually impossible to beat in this second half.
Harry Newman's just 18 years of age and dual reg.
A well thought of at Leeds Rhinos, Harry Newman. Earning some experience over here with Featherstone Rovers, but it won't be long before he's back in the blue and amber, that young man.
With that look forward, and maybe a bit of justice done there as Grix couldn't take it. And Featherstone will get head and feet at the scrum. The time in the first half running out.
There's a hand on it, it's right at the line. Grix does that to great effect. Runs at the line, he's almost in the defensive line a lot of the times when he catches that ball. Not good enough to keep hold of it on that occasion.
Head and feet then to Featherstone Rovers just inside their own half. If they could get something on the board before half-time, that'd be a big tonic for John Duffy's side. But Halifax pushing their luck maybe. Oh, Briscoe's put the ball down, and the penalties conceded is pretty typical of this first half from the Featherstone Rovers point of view.
Well, they've been terrible. What they might talk about is the fact that we've been terrible and we're still only 14 points behind.
Oh, quick hands. Fleming felt that. Quentin Lalu-Tongagai took his pass. Ball goes on quickly to James Saltonstall, and Saltonstall will try and use his pace, kicks infield, but the ball sits up nicely for Matty Wildy, and Wildy will counter.
Safety of mind from Matty Wildy. Featherstone look like they'll finish with a ball before half-time. It's a good point that Phil Clark makes. I'm sure the talk will be from Featherstone, look, if they can score 14 points in that first half, we can do the same. We just need to tidy the things up that are letting us down.
Here's the patched up Ian Hardman. No name, no number.
The man with no name.
Here is Briscoe. Briscoe gets the... well, the ball came loose, and it's ended up in Halifax hands, but that'll be the end of the action. Will Mayer has the ball. Halifax satisfied with their first 40 minutes. Featherstone Rovers probably frustrated, but it's certainly not beyond them, despite a scrappy effort from them, with Halifax making the most of the opportunities that came their way. One or two of them courtesy of the indiscipline of their opponents. If Featherstone Rovers can fix that, can cut down the errors, they could be in this game still.
After a great start to their league campaign, Featherstone have hit a rut of late. 2 consecutive Betfred Championship reverses, and now they find themselves 14-0 down at half-time in Game 2 of Day 1 of the 2018 Summer Bash, live from Blackpool. Well, gentlemen, the Halifax side have come to this game to win. Featherstone's horrible record at Summer Bash looks like it's going to continue.
Well, physical game and a dominant start, wasn't it, from Halifax? And you look at the way that they play QLT with a nice little skip, and Steve Tyree burst onto the scene as an 18-year-old quite a few years ago now, showing good hands to get over for that try.
Well, Halifax has split them in a variety of places, but what was pleasing for the Featherstone fans was that as the game wore on, they were able to get back. They conceded a penalty goal, but they've managed to hold out, and they've kept that scoreline at 14. It is within touching distance, but it's going to be very difficult because of the way that Halifax have played and the defence at the end, again, where they took the Rovers over the sideline. They do look like in complete control, but we've seen many games of league. We saw one last night with a similar scoreline at the halfway point. Things can turn around, but there needs to be a massive transformation in the Featherstone dressing room, attitudinally more than ability.
We saw in Game 1, of course, Sheffield overturn a 4-point half-time deficit to win that game and win it comfortably in the end. The guys have made the point in commentary, Terry. You would be unwilling to rule Featherstone out of this game, considering the players they have on the field.
Well, in Game 1 today, the first 20 minutes belonged to Sheffield, and the last 20 belonged to Barra, but I've not seen enough in the first half from Featherstone. I think the attacks look pedestrian. When you look at Halifax, they've got the second best defensive record in the competition. When things have been thrown at them and numbers and attacking lines, they've dealt with absolutely everything. And now you can see at the back of that first half, there's a bit of frustration creeping in. Gareth Hawke, Richard Moore, those are a couple of players that you could really upset and try and get under their skin.
Is this something else that may work in favour of Halifax? The longer it goes on with them in front and Featherstone turn to chase the game, ill-discipline that has crept into their game may expose them.
Possibly so, and I hope that Tom Holmes at half-time as well can get his legs sorted, because I think he has the element of surprise. He's got the speed, certainly, to trouble the Halifax defenders as the game wears on and maybe fatigue sets in.
Halifax or Featherstone?
I'm going to go with Halifax, Brian.
Wow. Featherstone.
Okay, split in the camp. Time for a break now. The boys are going to get ready to bring the second half from this Game 2 in Day 1 of the 2018 Summer Bash. At half-time, it's Halifax who are chasing a place in the top 4, leading 14-0 against Featherstone. Second half on the way.
Summer Bash continues on Sunday, and 12:55 on Sky Sports Arena for Toulouse against the London Broncos. Another game from the top 4. Rochdale against Swinton, bottom of the table clash, local derby, 3 o'clock on Arena, and the day's rounded off with a heavy woolen derby as Batley take on Dewsbury, 5:15 on Sky Sports Arena. Second half coming up of Halifax against Featherstone Rovers. Crucial game from the top end of the championship, and Halifax holding a 14-0 lead. Featherstone with work to do in this second half and need points on the board early on, need to get into this game because they really haven't had a good strong patch in this match, and they're being driven backwards.
Defense.
Look at that from Fax.
Well, Dan Fleming's the first one in. Oh, here we go, here we go. Well, Mitch Clark and Dan Fleming, when that tackle was made, were wrestling and grappling, and Mitch Clark, very fiery character, came across him at Bradford a few seasons ago.
Well, referee Tom Grant had already awarded a penalty to Featherstone Rovers, and as you'd expect, with the emotions running high, probably one or two words of choice words coming across the airwaves there. Sorry about that. Dan Fleming and Mitch Clark going toe-to-toe.
Well, there you go. I thought that Mitch Clark, who's on loan from Castleford at Featherstone, was the instigator. But just at the last second, Dan Fleming, from about his waist.
So I'm going to put Fleming and Clark in the bin.
Correct.
Yes.
I've got the same. Yes.
Okay, Mitch.
So it's called out Mitch Clark.
I'll speak to you after.
And presumably he's going to call out Dan Fleming. He's gone for his pockets.
Man-to-man fighting.
As the referee Tom Grant, one of the younger referees. So Clark is in the bin.
Can't argue with that.
Dan.
Good decision. Send him off. Cool down. Dan Fleming will follow.
Looks
goes
like
well.
it. Yep. Similar
Captain,
instruction.
Stop. Come here, mate. Here.
So the second half off to a lively start. Both sides down a man.
Listen to me, listen to me. Listen to me. The original penalty is going to Featherstone. Listen to me, Scott, I'm here. Listen. Speak to your players, calm down. Penalty there.
Well handled, well dealt with.
It's hard to calm down though in a sport where you have to be aggressive in every play of the ball.
You're right, and Featherstone's one of the tactics that Featherstone might use is, look, we need to be a little bit tougher on ourselves here. Taking too many soft options. But we mentioned the D word in the first half, both sides of the ball. Discipline is key for Featherstone.
That's got the second half off to a lively start as Hawk offloads. And Featherstone counter-attack. Wildy. Good break from him. Morell eventually made the tackle, but he'd made good ground.
Well, the Featherstone Rovers might have a bit more chance of making some breaks and scoring some points to playing against 12 rather than 13. Is there a little bit more space to get through? Moore can't find it.
Richard Moore, 37 years of age, plays that ball. Wildy with the run. Good defence on their own try line. Brad Knowles it was who was stopped just short. Sam Brooks, I beg your pardon. Little grubber kick comes in, and Ed Barber just drops on that ball, so that's a good return for Featherstone. Barber didn't like the challenge.
A good percentage play as well, nothing available to him outside, so the decision from Anthony Thackeray is, let's just dink it into the in goal. Chases his own kick. Good sensible decision.
And Featherstone have this wind at their backs, blustery wind. So Tyro will try and launch this into that breeze. And it bounces on this firm pitch into the carefully waiting hands of Richard Moore. Watch that one so studiously into his grasp. But here they come again with James Lockwood. Lockwood, mysterious play the ball that was. Here is Hawk on the charge.
He's already had 3 carries. We've just got 3 minutes on the clock and he's making over 10 metres every time he carries.
Thackeray drops the ball off to Lockwood. Lockwood out the back to Hardman now. But he's lost the ball, and Shane Grady picks it up for Halifax, and a promising opportunity comes to nothing for Featherstone Rovers.
Well, they can't let the heads drop, can they? They've spent a few minutes just exploring their opponent's try line. They've had some good field position. They've got to maintain now their effort in defence and their interest with it.
Here's Will Sharp. Sharp has lost that ball. Featherstone Rovers will have it back, and they will counter.
Harry Newman pouncing on the loose ball. Will Sharp loses it in contact.
Here's Briscoe now. Briscoe, 35 metres out. They get the penalty to Featherstone Rovers. Good start this to the second half for them. They've got Halifax a bit rattled.
They are trying to knock them off the game. I don't think they went out with the intention of having a scuffle and 2 men sent to the sin bin, but it's having the desired effect for Featherstone.
Here's Richard Moore now, so this is a good opportunity for Featherstone. Can they capitalise? They've got Halifax on the back foot here now. Brooks again. Matty Wildy. Here is Thackeray. Thackeray fancies it himself. The door slams in his face. That was a scruffy play. It wasn't a play the ball, and Thackeray says he was obstructed. He might have had a point. He was trying to play that ball, and he had
Brandon Moore is all over him, and they are 50-50 calls, but the limited chances that Featherstone have had so close to that line, he's disappointed. But if he plays the ball correctly, the referee doesn't blow his whistle. There's so many things within the game for Featherstone that they're in control of. They can tidy up. You can't just leave the ball on the floor and try to play it down from that position.
Featherstone feeling hard done by as another promising opportunity is squandered. Saltonstall, Italian international by virtue of his mum. So Halifax certainly not home and dry in this one. They lead by 14 points to 0, but Featherstone just need to find a chink in the armour, just need to rock them a little bit, and they've started to do that. Sharp. Here's QLT, and he gets a pass away to Grady. Grady has got support. Johnston, and that's great defence.
Outstanding tackle from Hardman. Last play, they've gone left.
They're not home and dry yet. Oh, that's Saltonstall left looking in vain. Tyra says, I was trying. Grady says, what happened there? Featherstone says, we got out of jail.
Well, we've seen some wonderful fullbacks in rugby league in this country in the last 10 or 20 years, but not many pull off a try saver like this. Look, he's gone from one man to the other. He's put his body on the line and got in front to block Ben Johnston.
Didn't he assess that really well? He's not got the speed of his youth, but what he does, he buys himself time and makes the right decision. Luke Briscoe down.
Good chance to find out what was said at half-time. Let's join Angela Powers.
John Duffy wasn't very happy, as you can imagine. He said they showed no respect for the ball, the Featherstone team. They've had an awful lot of defending to do in the first half as well, and he's a bit worried that that might just take out the energy from this Featherstone side going forward. He wants to see them respect the ball, cut out the errors, and to go for set really with this Halifax side. And you can imagine Richard Marshall spoke to him as he hobbled around the back of the sticks earlier on. He's pleased with that first half. They did make some mistakes, but they managed to keep their discipline. They need to keep focused on that now, keep their concentration and keep going forward in attack with lots of... Where we got pass it back to you, Bill.
Newman's break. Oh, Hardman was on the inside. It's still not lost for them. The ball comes back to Wildy, and they'll go across the other side of the field now with the former Wakefield man.
You get the feeling that Featherstone are the next team most likely to score, but can they find that line? Can they get away over it? They kept the ball alive. Referee says play on.
Lockwood gets the pass away, and it comes up again. Will Mayer pounces on it. How many chances do they need?
They are forcing the issue, and John Duffy's assessment of his side is really accurate. If they go set for set with Halifax, they'll give themselves a chance in this game, but every time they have an opportunity, it's like they're desperate to score. They have to score. There's no composure to the play at the minute.
14-0 the scoreline. 20 minutes we've gone without any change to that scoreline. And it's Halifax in possession now. Just over the halfway line. That's the 5th tackle. And Morel kicks that one into open space. That is a great kick.
He almost had a grasp at that then, didn't he? Sean Robinson. A delicate kick. A game-managing, game-controlling kick from Scott Morel. Sometimes when they kick the ball out of play, I agree, I think it's a negative way to play, but I think that's just a case of slowing the game down.
What I think that does is it drains a little bit of the enthusiasm from your opponents. Featherstone are all pumped up, they're all excited, they want to keep running, they want the ball in play. By knocking over the side, you just bring them down a little bit, and that's what they have to do, haven't they?
I agree.
Quell some of that life that Featherstone have started this second quarter with.
Here's Ian Hardman, that cut on his head bandaged, the shirt's clean after all the blood in the first half. Remember, both sides with a man in the sin bin early on in this second half. Mitch Clark, Dan Fleming, the respective players. Richard Moore plays the ball.
That's touched.
6 to go. Thackeray has it back for Featherstone Rovers on the halfway line.
Ed Barber comes in, he makes that play, touches the ball, but he's still holding his hand. Trying to get back in the defensive line now, Ed Barber.
Well, we've not seen Tom Holmes, he's run there, he's got a right knee strapped, haven't you, see, but if he can get his hands on the ball a bit more, then he's more of an attacking threat on the right.
Brooks plays the ball. Here is Gareth Hock. Hock's pass was to nobody in particular. Hardman redeems the situation. Newman steps infield. There's a Featherstone, a Halifax hand in there. It's knocked on, says the referee. Sure, it will be Featherstone head and feet at this scrum.
Well, this is great field position again now for the Featherstone side. They've been brilliant for 10 minutes, but they've failed to score. Newman keeps the ball alive. They'll get a scrum 10 metres from the opponent's line. The referee stopped the clock. Halifax know they're really under pressure here. Barber being assessed by the physio.
And he goes in to shut that play earlier on in the set. Goes down, goes on his haunches. He's fit to carry on.
They look at the scrum. Gareth Hock about 20 metres behind the scrum, out in the centre of the field. It looks like he's going to set off from about Blackpool Tower here now, come charging down and see if he can run through this line.
I think it's Fleetwood he's heading from. He's waiting for the ball. There he is. Oh! And he runs into some stern resistance. Holmes plays the ball. Change of direction from Josh Hardcastle. Just a couple of metres short. Here is Hock again, driving for the line. He's held up.
He's not.
He's not, says the referee. Tom Grant awards the try. And Gareth Hock, he got there in the end. Went via Lythams and Nans, but he got over the line.
Well, you need your big players to come up with the big plays, and that's what Gareth Hock does here. He knows that his side needs some points on the board. They're contained on the left-hand side of the field, but the scrum situation gives them the perfect opportunity from which to attack. And after his first charge from the scrum, he then resets himself and goes hard and with a determination that carries 3 of the Halifax players over the line. A grip on the ball that puts it down, and the referee again in a wonderful position to see the first Rovers try.
Hardman with a conversion. Martin Ridyard, of course, out of action, so Ian Hardman has taken the goal-kicking duties, kicks his 18th of the season. Gareth Hock gets his 3rd try of the season.
I'm certain John Duffy has sent that message down. When we go set for set with Halifax, we give ourselves a chance. Our mics just picked up some of the defenders from Halifax saying, Morey. So they assumed that Richard Moore was getting that ball. Nobody picked up the fact that out of the back was the big man Gareth Hock.
I think, Barry, he's the only player on this field who could have scored that try in that situation because of the grip and the skill that he has with the ball, lifting it through the defenders and putting it down. He's got Featherstone in the game.
That's the two fellas out the sin bin.
Hey, that's going to be fun.
Nearly back on again.
Mitch Clark just got up and checked. I think we might see further episodes of that.
I think he knew he was running at in the first place. Tangata is tangled. Here we go. Here's the two stags, the two bulls. He knows exactly who he's looking at. He knows exactly who he's running at. And both players meet fire with fire. Nobody prepared to back down. That's what we want. Controlled aggression.
Meanwhile, Halifax have conceded another penalty. The tables have turned. In the first half, it was Featherstone conceding the penalties. Halifax were capitalising, and now Halifax are on the back foot. They're conceding territory. Featherstone are looking to capitalise. They won't capitalise with passes like that.
But that's a knock-on. They'll get the ball again. An element of luck goes for the Rovers here.
They're forcing this though, aren't they? They're aggressive. They're on that front foot.
Well, the passing accuracy hasn't been good all afternoon, really, for Featherstone. One or two just going away from the players, and it's...
When they do go direct, and they go direct and give themselves momentum at the play of the ball, things start to happen. When they're trying to manufacture that, trying to look to shift early, it does look sloppy because Halifax are up. Look at the atmosphere, look at the fans, enjoying the afternoon, the sun, and the occasion.
Here is Gareth Hock again. Runs into Shane Grady. Two former Widnes Vikings up against each other.
Now he's only good in small bursts, Gareth Hock. Looks a little bit tired, a little bit laboured. Be tempted to give him a rest and give him a big finish.
Here is Mitch Clark. He plays the ball. They're buzzing now of Featherstone Rovers. Lockwood just short of that try line. Wildy. Hock once more! It's Hardman, I beg your pardon.
What a tackle.
Great defence on the last here now. Huge gap opens up and they're in, and it's Thackeray. And Featherstone Rovers strike again. And Thackeray gets his 6th try of the season. The door opened invitingly for a former Halifax man. And Anthony Thackeray trims this Fax lead still further.
Well, they've been in the right part of the field, haven't they, for the first 15 minutes of this second half. And they're making sure that they're almost going to get back the 15 points they need to take this lead. They go hard, there's too many gaps, and the speed with which they played the game has meant that Halifax can't cope. The penalties conceded has put so much of the possession into the Featherstone hands, and they're making sure that they count. Second try, is this the second goal?
Hardman again. And 14-0 it was when the second half resumed. 14-12 it is now. Thackeray with the latest try for Featherstone Rovers.
Well, yet again, another player close to the line, creating that confusion and indecision in the defensive line of Halifax. Strong direct carries, direct runners, and the flat cappers, they're back in business now.
There's a bit of an inquest meanwhile going on among the Halifax players just about where everybody was when Thackeray was able to score then, because cover was pretty thin, wasn't it?
When temperatures start to rise and everybody gets a bit aggressive, you lose track, you lose focus. Start doing things, trying to fix things you're not involved in. Everybody swarmed towards the player on both tries that they assumed were getting the ball. Your communication goes down, your blood starts to boil. They just need to cool down a little bit now, Halifax, but we're in for a great game here. Just 2 points in it.
Another penalty. It's amazing how this has turned around.
Well, if you get possession, you score a try, you get possession back, don't you? So then you're most likely to receive a penalty, and it rolls on. Being with having the ball means most of the penalties always go there. So they're now dominating, aren't they? Halifax had so much possession in the first half. Now it's the Rovers' turn.
James Lockwood. There's Richard Marshall, concerned. His side under pressure here now. Richard Moore could very easily see this lead wiped out shortly, because here come Featherstone once more with Wildy playing his way through. Oh, the way to the line! What a try that is! Matty Wildy just weaved his way through the ranks of the Halifax defenders there, and this 14-0 lead has been wiped out in the space of 8 minutes in the second half. Hock, Thackeray, now Wildy, the try scorers, as Featherstone turn this game round.
Wow. When Phil Clark at half-time said he thought Featherstone Rovers would go on to win this game, I thought he was mental. 3 tries, grasping defenders, and Matty Wildy, he knows, he's completely aware that that defender cannot get involved. Jacob Furbank with his hands above his head is a shield, but Wildy uses him, he gets around him, and John Duffy and Phil Clark might be right.
Well, we've got a fascinating final quarter of the game. This team are in the lead, and all of this possession this second half, and this emergency talks taking place in the Halifax huddle.
Hartman, another formality for him. Halifax 14-0 up at the end of the first half. It's now Halifax 14, Featherstone Rovers 18. And the flat cappers salute their side.
Well, Halifax have got to hold a talk about how do they prevent this roll forward here, don't they? Try after try, and that's a wonderful score from Wildy. He's looked brilliant, hasn't he? And I suppose not conceded a penalty. The referee's just stopped the clock here. He wants to check on the treatment that's taking place on Ian Hardman. We saw blood on his head in the first half.
Is he bleeding? You're going to have to go off, mate. The second time it's happened.
The referee just asked him, is he
Take him
bleeding? And Ian Hardman turned round and said no, with the biggest gash on the side of his head.
But I'm not sure what's happened here. He's told him he's going to have to go off, and he hasn't.
Okay, mate.
Ian Hardman is still on the field. I think he's going to try and get some treatments as Briscoe brings this ball back, and Halifax have really got to try and shake Featherstone's grip on this game, because that's what they've got at the moment. Featherstone Rovers, a grip, and Hock is instrumental in achieving that.
He has lifted them since he's got on. As I say, when you're making more than 10 metres when you carry, that's a good sign.
Oh no, another penalty.
Well, you could throw the same,
isn't it?
You could throw the same at Halifax that you could for Featherstone in the first half. If you could go set for set, you'll give yourself a chance. When you continue to give penalties away, make mistakes, you make the task so much more difficult.
I think that's 5-0, the penalty count in the second half. That's the reason why the scoreboard shifted. There's a big hit, and there's a game changer. There is a game changer. They've come up with possession.
And it was Clark and Fleming again.
There you go. That's a medal, that, because what you get is you get one over on your opposition. He has had a little tug at that ball, Fleming, but he's got his shoulder in and he's knocked him off balance, knocked him off his feet.
Well, as a medical man, Barry, you would know they had to do something, Halifax, to stop the bleeding. They were in all sorts of trouble. They were draining away the life from them, but they had to get their hands on the ball. They've done it here, maybe illegally.
I'm going to tell you a secret.
Was that the paddles? Was that Dan Fleming applying the paddles?
I'm going to tell you a secret. I don't actually have a medical qualification. I'm only kidding.
Well, Halifax will be relieved at that. Ed Barber in possession. And here is Adam Tangata, such a popular figure. Adam Tangata, the Cook Islander, 8 months out of the side. Saltonstall now.
Expect Scott Morrell to get involved here at some point. He's going to look after the kick, I'm sure. But he'll be talking to all his players. Good break from
Brandon Moore it is. Is Ben Johnston. 10 metres out, bang in front of those posts. That's the fifth tackle. Moore, Morrell hoists that kick. Batted infield, Grady, it went forward.
It went forward. Good idea, good execution, good kick. But those two players who were so important, so instrumental in the first half, Scott Morrell, and Steve Tyra combine again, but unfortunately that little back inside goes forward.
Okay, Sam.
Referee Tom Grant well positioned to spot that one drifting forward.
Hold. Go.
Still more drama to come in this game, you feel. Featherstone have had their purple patch at the start of this second half. Can Halifax wrest the game back from them? Briscoe trying to play that ball with Fleming on the ground.
Bill, virtually from the kick-off, these two teams have gone hell for leather, and it's probably the team that shows an element of composure, settles down. They've come away, there's still struggling with that injury.
Yep,
Tom Holmes.
Strapped now, that knee, as Thackeray hoists the ball, sharp, comes for it, has lost it, and the referee awards the penalty as Ott was trying to capitalise.
He has to be brave to catch that. He runs hard to get there, catches the ball, and then what else does he catch?
Oh, dearie me. Gareth Hock.
Well, it's a penalty, isn't it? Contact with the head.
Oof.
I don't think he's intended to do that. He's just got himself twisted to turn it out of the way.
Yeah. His feet, it looks bad because his shoulder hits the head. His feet are off the air. He can't change his direction.
The referee may pull him out here.
Referee's going to put it on report.
Might hear more about that.
I think it would have been harsh if it had been sent off.
We're all lucky that Will Sharp's okayed and he got back up onto his feet. Could have been a lot worse for Will Sharp than that looked.
So a relieving penalty for Halifax. And there is Sharp, ready to prove that he's not
and ran right
put out of his feet. It's brave, foolhardy. Oh dear me, Clark.
That was another high one.
The referee's going to have to keep an eye on this. Clark went hunting there. Here's Grady. Lanky figure of Shane Grady.
They're getting stuck into each other. And Mitch Clark, who's already had a spell in the sin bin, he's certainly put himself about.
Clark again with the tackle. Here is Morel. Quentin Lalu-Tonga guy, but the pass is a stray one, and that's a promising position that comes to nothing, and a shake of the head from QLT.
A slip from Ed Barber.
International.
A slip from Ed Barber at the wrong point of that play. QLT goes in, skips out, he's trying to create some space, trying to put his teammate through a gap. Hardly seen him in the second half. As you said, joined from Toronto. Exciting player, got bags of speed and creativity as well.
Heads in. Hold that line. Head in.
So, head and feed to Featherstone Rovers. At least Halifax have managed to take some of the wind out of Featherstone's sails in the last 10 minutes or so. After that flurry of points at the start of the second half that turned this game around.
These two teams were always going to show up and be competitive. Such history, rich heritage in both clubs, but particularly against one another in recent times. They've always been great games to watch, full of passion, full of commitment, just as that drive was.
There's Wildy again, and he's gone on another great run. That's the fifth tackle. His pace is really causing Halifax some problems as the kick comes in. Tangata with the challenge, and the ball. There's an offside there, I think, says referee Grant.
Josh Hardcastle surprised, but yeah, offside the decision. You can see just stood in front of Tom Holmes, the kicker. You talk about discipline, that's one of the disciplines you need to be in the right position. Otherwise, you just let your opponents out of that corner too easily.
So let's Halifax off the hook a bit.
Hold.
They're still inside their own half. Brandon Moore. Oof, that went forward.
It's a tough ball to catch as well, with As you see, 4 defenders looking at you. One of them's Gareth Hawke. Thanks for that, mate.
Here he is, Q. They really are keeping a close eye on the Samoan international, former Samoan international, now 33 years of age. Big Will Mayer now.
4. No, no! Is the mark hold?
Just shy of that 40 metres line. Back in field to Fleming and
Oh,
Clark.
they're there again.
Ding ding, seconds out.
They've got a magnet.
They're going to know each other well by the end of this game. The kick claimed by Briscoe.
And you mark my words, at the end of the game, no matter what score it is, they'll both be the first person to shake the other one's hand.
Go on, you surrendered. 1.
They're still on the pitch.
Either way.
2. Move. Hold.
Nip and tuck. Here we go, watch this.
2.
Rocks the head back, shoulder in. Good contact.
3. Move. Get here.
In all likelihood, only one of these teams will probably make the top 4, and then therefore the qualifiers after that. They know it's a 4-point game. They have to win. This is almost a knockout, I think. I know there's still quite a few games before we get to that qualification phase, but here's the card.
There's a trip, and somebody is on his way to the sidelines.
Stephen Tyra waves back at the referee. I don't know what the wave was for.
Farewell.
Possibly.
Ian.
Tyra, just instinctive. Here you go.
He can't resist it, can he? He's trying his best to tell the referee, look, I'm trying my best.
Keel Carlisle.
Let's have a look, this is a better angle.
Keel, speak to me, pal. What are we doing?
No, he gets a hold of him. That's for sure. Yeah.
Tom.
So Tyra,
It's a self-destruct button, isn't it?
a touch too much. And again, Halifax is in discipline. It was Featherstone's in discipline in the first half. Wheeldon. And now they've got an almighty problem of facts because they're down a man and Featherstone have got their tails up. Here is Lockwood.
Hardman was looking for that pass back inside.
Carlisle barking instructions. The instructions are for Gareth Hawke to get his second of the game.
Wow. I'd be surprised if he's kept hold of this ball, Gareth Hawke. He hits the defender with such force. Close to the line, hard, uses his buffers. Oh, he's dropped it. Is that Elliot Morris? QLT at the top, the fullback. He's done an incredible job.
It's a knock-on in the in-goal area, isn't it, that? Tap on the 20 for the Halifax side.
It's Brandon Moore underneath. He just puts enough pressure on that ball, and Gareth Hawke.
Phil Bentham, the video ref. Quick look at that. Hawke denied. What a let-off that is for Halifax.
That was my first instinct, that he'd knocked that ball in a view to bumping the player off. Doesn't have enough grip on the ball.
Well, 6 points at that point you felt might have meant the win. Ball stripped out there, was it? No. That's kept them in the side. We're going to have a fantastic last 10 minutes for this fixture.
Can Halifax survive while they have Stephen Tyra in the sin bin? Can they get through this Featherstone Rovers defence? They haven't managed to in this second half so far. All their points coming in the first half. All Featherstone's points coming in this second half. There's Fleming. Where was Mitch Clark? Fleming was tackled. Mitch Clark was nowhere to be seen. Here's Ed Barber. Barber, strong centre, gets the ball to Sharp. Sharp away from the first 2 challenges. Gets the pass away to Quentin Lalu Tongagai. Across the field he comes. Oh, the pass was high and tempting. Johnston puts a little grubber kick in. Hardman goes down for it.
And a collective sigh of relief from Featherstone. They were busted, they were broken, they were split, but they managed to get enough numbers around the ball, around the defenders.
So Featherstone Rovers with Luke Briscoe, they lead by 18 points to 14. Capaldi. Beg your pardon, it's Sean Robinson, the wingman. Oh, this is a good run from Harry Newman. There's real pace now. Danger.
Touched. 6 again.
6 to go. Danger here for Halifax. Tom Holmes. Holmes gets the pass away. Wielden.
Lost it forward.
And Sharp will get it back. And a chance for glory there for Scott Wielden. And Sharp countering. The referee's going to call them back.
It's a knock on.
It's a knock on, he says.
Knock on must be against Halifax.
Must be.
How far back are we going?
Well, it was the two front rowers that passed the ball to one another. Mitch Clark to Scott Wielden. I thought he dropped it during this exchange.
Why is the scrum then where he set the scrum out? I've missed something here.
Does Sharp lose it somewhere along here?
No, because he calls him back at that point.
Has he given it was a free play, so probably would have to go back quite a bit before that.
That is
At this point here, so that's a knock on.
So he's gone back to that advantage. Right, I've got you. Does seem a long advantage to play, but that's correct.
gone back quite a long way there, but it's the free play was the call. Thackeray gets the ball away to Newman, and he's almost found a way through as Harry Newman. And Halifax really under the cosh here now, desperate not to concede any more points into the last 10 minutes. Carlisle pops the ball up, Clark stretching for the line. Carlisle, Thackeray now. Thackeray sells the dummy but is tackled. 5 tackles gone. Carlisle, they go down the short side. Keep the ball alive. Robinson, little grubber kick ahead, too strong, and Fax survives. Robinson kicks the advertising hoardings. He knows an opportunity has gone begging there.
Well, I don't know whether going down the short side on that play was the best. So many numbers on the open side, players screaming for the ball. Ultimately, Sean Robinson's kick was a little bit too strong, but very desperate end to that centre six.
Well, the referee stopped the game here now. Harry Newman is playing left centre, left wing. He's down to receive some treatment.
Shown up well, Harry Newman.
He did well to get the ball out of that tackle. He was given it, wasn't he, in a very tight situation. It was the last play. He had to find Robinson.
Featherstone Rovers looking to break their Blackpool duck, never having won here at the Summer Bash.
Okay, water off, please. Water off, please.
And they are within sight of that maiden victory at Bloomfield Road.
Not yet. On me, wait there.
But Halifax could yet have a say in the way this game turns out. They have only 12 men on the field at the moment. Steve Tyra still in the sin bin for that trip.
Great offload. They've got to keep the ball alive here, trying to work their way downfield. This defence, much improved from Featherstone. It got better after about 20 minutes and it stayed at that level.
Okay.
Marker's not square, looking fortunate not to be penalised, referee being lenient.
Here is Will Mayer now. Strong running forward. Mayer on the halfway line. Morel, quick hands from him. Oh, it's forward to QLT.
The timing of the run from QLT just forced that ball. He's trying to hide himself behind the play of the ball. It was forward.
Do you know what? He let the markers don't have to stand square, but he can't throw line balls. I think that's a tough call on Halifax.
We are right in line with that.
I thought it was forward. He stands behind the play of the ball, doesn't give himself enough space. QLT just forces that pass if he's a metre further back behind. Richard Marshall and John Duffy, neither one of those coaches can sit and rest easy.
Featherstone victory here could take him into the top, well, second in the table. Might only be for a few hours. Meanwhile, it would deal a blow to Halifax hopes of making the middle eights. Briscoe plays the ball. Here's Brad Knowles. Featherstone looking for the try that would see off the Halifax challenge and seal their comeback, but that ball's been spilled and Halifax have it back.
Bad mistake. Hardcastle has that ball, can't keep hold of it, surrenders possession. It's a long way to go for Halifax. They seem to have played the majority of this second half to our left.
That's right. They have.
But they've had about half as much possession as their opponents. They just needed one more chance up at that end here.
But can they find a way through? A much improved Featherstone Rovers defence. It's going to take a little bit of magic from somebody. Oh, it's good offload, finds Morel. Morel wrestling, gets the pass away to Barber. Barber similarly gets the ball off to Sharp. Sharp. Quentin Lalu Tongagai, little burst of pace from him. He's through the first. Quentin Lalu Tongagai to Ben Johnston. Johnston, the step, the try. The scores are level. Ben Johnston with the try off the back of a break from Quentin Lalu Tongagai. And drama aplenty in this game for the Halifax fans. Deliriously happy.
Well, it's Scott Morell who gets his hands on the ball first, finds an offload. Here's the mistake from Josh Hardcastle. As we've said, Halifax spent the majority of the second half coming away from their own line. He stays alive, Morell. At this point, with defenders around him, takes the risk. And QLT is a player that could open this game up, but he's been well looked after. An injection of pace, a hop, a skip. He has defenders sliding, going backwards. That's a good pass inside, good instinct from Ben Johnson. We've got quite a game on here now, and I still don't think it's over.
Well, I think it's fantastic that it's taken this amount of skill to possibly score the try that will win the match. Ben Johnston started it by defending so well in his own quarter. He held up the tackle, the ball came free from Josh Hardcastle, and he's given Shane Grady a chance with less than 5 to go to put his team ahead.
Steve Tyra is in the sin bin, the regular goal kicker. Shane Grady has only kicked 1 goal all season for Halifax. He's kicked a second. Gasps of relief from the Halifax fans. Their side back in front, 20 points to 18. Ben Johnston, the Irish international, with the try. Richard Marshall, a shake of the head. He's seen his side pegged back. The 12 men of Halifax have come up with a try, and Will Sharp is upended. They'll get the penalty, and Sharp will feel the pain.
He has to take that.
What's the penalty for?
Tackled in the air.
He's not tackling in the air. They're all trying to catch the ball.
Come on, Scott Wheeldon's not making any
on
attempt.
that view, it looks like Scott Wheeldon is looking at the player catching the ball, getting ready to hit him. There's a collision off the ball. I want to credit that from Will Sharp. He's took more than enough physical abuse.
You give him the bravery award today, wouldn't you?
Yeah, without a doubt. And he's quite right. He's going to take a minute just to get a deep breath. Nervous times. We saw a shot of Richard Marshall. When that try and kick is converted, I guarantee the first question he asks his staff is, how long is left? Because he knows that Featherstone aren't out of this game and they're perfectly capable of coming back into it. How long is left?
Looks pretty calm and collected, does the Halifax coach. The win will keep them in sight of the top 4. But it's going to be a tense final few minutes here. The penalty eventually. Will Sharp is back on his feet after treatment. And Halifax will look to play the final 4 minutes of this game in Featherstone territory.
Just been watching Scott Morrell and his involvement, his communication, the way he's pushing and prodding people into the right position. Very tight game, but you need your leadership group, you need your important players front and centre. Scott Morrell's done that the last 5 minutes.
Here's Will Mayer. Featherstone desperate. Well, they will get their hands on the ball. They should get their hands on the ball.
You don't know, Halifax might score. Maybe they should be thinking about that. That would certainly make it a more relaxing final 3 minutes for the coach and his supporters.
I think it's going to be relaxing.
It will if they have another 6 points on the scoreboard, which is what Morrell's there before.
That's good. Surely that's going to be another 2 points. He's bang in front of the post. Hardman pleads his innocence.
The referee thought at first that that was a surrender tackle. Good line speed, poor technique from Hardman. He had to shut that play down. And I also think Scott Morrell knows exactly what he's doing. Now here's a difficult decision. People might be tempted to go for 2. I don't think you should go for 2. I think you should tap that ball. If you get the 2 points, you're only 4 behind, you're going to receive a kick, there's a chance you'll make a mistake. Halifax are going to tap that ball and then let the clock tick.
And that's exactly what they are doing. Eat up the seconds. Elliot Morris now for Halifax. Well, they might try and wrap this up with a decisive try. Brandon Moore scanning, pops the ball up. Morris again, charging to the line, sucking in the Featherstone Rovers defenders. Benny Kay now, Kay, Morrell's pass. Featherstone desperately defending, trying to get the ball back at Fairbank. Will take his time playing this ball. Good defence on Will Mayer. Lockwood down low. Morrell looking for glory, kicks the ball ahead and gets the try! Unbelievable! Scott Morrell decides the game with an audacious solo try. And Halifax, when it looked as though this one had got away from them, have stolen it from Featherstone Rovers at the end. And Scott Morrell just stabbed that one forward, followed it up, and Richard Marshall won't be feeling the pain now. Jubilation for Fax.
In tight games you need your big players to stand up. In the last 5 minutes, the communication that man has been in charge of, and this is the scruffiest try you'll ever see. It's the worst try you'll ever see. It's the worst celebration you'll ever see, but it is the most important, crucial 4, possibly 6 points of this match.
Well, it began the game, you remember, with a pretty impressive kick. It was a 40-20 in the first few moments of this match. That kick wasn't quite as impressive with the skill, but it's been far more significant on this scoreboard here, and probably on the league table.
Yeah, he scored the first try of the game after 8 minutes. He scored the decisive try of the game after 79 minutes as Scott Morrell, the 32-year-old stalwart of this Halifax side.
Been talking about try celebrations all afternoon. I'm not sure what was going on there, and
I think
when he scores that try and pulls his shirt up.
Well, I think it was in response to 1 or 2 comments made about his physique from that end of the ground. The conversion missed, and this, well, in theory, not settled yet.
How important was this no try now? QLT in attendance, Brandon Moore in attendance, who, according to our stats, has worked tirelessly for his team. 38 tackles, Brandon Moore. A lot of the hard work goes unnoticed. But big moments. Gareth Hock tried to get his team and his side back into this game, but unfortunately it's Scott Morrell, the number 6, sorry, not 8, 6.
The hooter sounds. Halifax celebrates. Featherstone's Blackpool wilderness continues. And Halifax, who'd seen their 14-0 lead eaten away, their supporters are jubilant, and Scott Morrell has come up with a decisive try.
Delight for those fans.
Dejected.
They know they've been in a real game, and a Gareth Hock-led Featherstone pushed them ever so close. Key decisions, and the momentum of the game went to and fro, swung from side to side. The Halifax fans, the Featherstone fans have had a glorious game to watch. High intensity, drama, spectacular tries and gallant effort, and a little bit of scuffling as well.
Halifax up to 5th in the table, ahead of Lee's Summer Bash engagement. Featherstone, their hopes of taking 2nd place for the moment dashed by the drama late on here at Bloomfield Road. John Duffy in there, the Featherstone Rovers coach, dejected. What a performance it was from his side in the second half to turn around that 14-0 deficit. What a performance it was then for Halifax to regroup, especially after they'd lost Steve Tyra to the sin bin. There is Tyra, shake of the hands with the Featherstone Rovers coach. And Featherstone's sequence of defeats continues. It's now 4 defeats in a row for them. Halifax, they've now won 6, drawn 1 and lost just 1 of their last 8 games. And what a performance this has been. No wonder those Halifax supporters are jubilant. Their hopes of a middle 8 place are still alive. Scott Morrell, not surprisingly, man of the match. He started it, he finished it, he's with Angela.
And there it is, your silver salver. Oh, that must be nice to hold after a game like that.
Yeah, it's good. Thought our middles worked hard today. Featherstone are a quality team. Got some big lads coming down middle, but thought our middles stood up today and were counted.
You knew they were going to come back and throw everything at you in that second half.
Yeah, Featherstone, they're not in the top of the league for nothing, and they're well coached by Duffy. Got some quality players, but our boys were outstanding today, and proud of every one of them.
You went over first, Scott, and then you got the very last one, and that must have been the sweetest try you've scored for a long time.
Yeah, I haven't scored this season, so to get to it in one game, I think total metres were about a metre to get them both, but proud of the boys' effort today. Yeah, really chuffed.
That experience, you've been around for a long time, it really helps in games like this where you've got to keep your patience and keep focused on what you're really aiming for.
Yeah, just let them young kids run around, save these old legs. Hopefully there's a couple more years in them yet, but we'll see.
Well, I'm going to get you the cheque here. It's just on the floor at my feet, and there it is, £250. Where's it going to go, Scott?
My friend's charity, it's Rudy's Retreat. It's for respite for people with cancer, and they go to holiday home, so it's for Rudy's Retreat in Huddersfield.
That's great. Thanks very much, Scott. And we've got, well, just come to you, Richard Marshall, because don't you come to us. I know you're in a bit of a state there, but what a fantastic comeback after a second half like that.
Yeah, I thought it was a fantastic advert for the championship on the whole. I think the game had everything, didn't it? You know, we got off to a fantastic start, and Featherstone are a quality team and came right back at us. But really proud to go down to 12 players and come through that adversity. We showed a lot of grit and all the things that you talk about in pre-season.
The thing was as well, you knew that they were going to throw everything at you in that second half. What made you stay on top of that game and know and believe that you could win it?
Well, that's it. It's always belief, isn't it? And you work hard in the week and you put a plan together. The play's been fantastic. Obviously, I'm off my feet at the minute and they're running the show, and that's how it should be. We've got a fantastic environment. Featherstone will be there and thereabouts, I'm sure, at the end of the season. But for us, fantastic, gritty, really talented performance.
And an entertaining performance. You put on a show here at the Summer Bash.
I'm pleased for that. I thought it was good. And as I say, there's games like that week in, week out in the Championship. I'm so pleased that you're here to witness that one today.
Brilliant. Thanks, Richard. We'll go over to, we've got Gareth Hock here now. Gareth, you managed to get over the line, but unfortunately, the hard work you put in wasn't enough in the end.
No, it was a tough game. We started a bit slow, and we come back at the end, and a stupid miss at the end lost us game.
That was it. You've got to keep your concentration for the whole of the 80 minutes. You must have felt you had that game in the bag at one point.
Yeah, so frustrating. I thought we put a lot of effort into that last 20. Took the lead, and you can't afford missed tackles like that. It's not acceptable.
But you weren't really yourself in that first half, were you? What was it that he said at half-time, John Duffy, that brought you out firing?
He come in, we had a look at ourselves. We knew it's a big game, and we've lost 3 on bounce, and we had a look at ourselves, and we had to start well, and we did. So it's our own fault there at the end.
I appreciate you talking to us, Gareth. Thank you. We've got the coach, John Duffy, now. Well, it wasn't your day, but you gave them everything in that second half.
Yeah, we obviously poor in that first half. Too many errors across the game for us, really, and probably didn't deserve the win. But proud of the boys the second half. We're in full control, and then just one lapse in, and you can't do it at this level. So we've got to dust ourselves down now. We've had a tough month. We get a week off next week to recoup and go again.
They were a man down as well when they went over, and that's a bit of a no-no in rugby league, isn't it?
No, it's something we've just got to be better. Our first half let us down really bad, and we've got to be better than that at this level, like I said. So, we get a week now and regroup and focus on the remainder of the season.
Quite a lot of positives from this, will you take?
From the second half, yeah, not from that first half, but we definitely take some from that second half.
Appreciate your time, John. Thank you.
Cheers.
Well, Featherstone's search for a Summer Bash win goes on. 4 defeats at this venue on consecutive occasions, and 4 defeats in all competitions on the trot now for John Duffy's side. 24-18 in the end. 14-0 at half-time to Halifax. Second half, it looked like it might go Featherstone's way. Scott Morrell bagged himself the Man of the Match award, Terry, in a crucial try at the end of this game, but the start of the second half, it belonged to Featherstone Rovers.
Well, I think it was always going to be explosive in the way that they came out. Featherstone, they were very good, and they had an 8-minute spell. There was a couple of sin bins here. I said the start of it.
Mitch Clark and Dan Fleming in the bin.
The start of the second half, I thought that Featherstone came out with a real point to prove. I think they were a bit embarrassed by the scoreline.